Right, we're live. Okay. Well, we're not live, but it's recorded. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the DS and yours truly. I'm DC. I'm in Cash. We are here. And I have a special guest here right besides me. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, Diamond. It's good to be here. My name is Brandon. We've talked for quite a few times here, and really, excuse me, what I am is a what do you call those? Serial entrepreneurs. So I used to own a coffee shop, sold the coffee shop. I learned that I don't ever want to do a coffee shop again. Um, and now I'm in the, of all things, financial services world, but I'm not your typical, put your money in the market kind of guy. I'm a build your foundation kind of guy, build a good, stable foundation uh, through stable tools. I specialize in infinite banking, specialize in a system called Profit First, and I specialize in working with business owners, real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, people who they don't have a W-2 income as much. They want to do some other things, but they also want to plan for the future at the same time. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm married with a little 4-year-old and a mother-in-law, and that's my main focus is those guys, um, and do all kinds of other things on the side.
Okay, that's awesome. That's definitely awesome. To walk me through what made you get to who you are today, from your business, from your podcast, from finance. So talk about that.
Oh yeah, do you have a couple days, or how long do we have here? Because there is so much here that I think about. I actually used to be in the music industry. I used to work for big time celebrities. I used to be in the military as well, and all those things. I learned different pieces of my life. I learned that I can accomplish more than I thought I could with the military. Went into the music industry because they said, well, you don't know anything about music. And I'm like, well, I use this thing called the Yellow Pages at the time. This was in the early 2000s to research, recording studios, and I interned and worked in studios. Then I moved on in IT for a little bit, and real from that I'm like, man, I can't be a W-2 person. This is just boring. Um, and and decided I still want to make a change, be the change I want to see in the world, kind of idea. And that's where the coffee shop was born. Uh, when you go into business, one of the things I've learned is as you start into a business, you think it's going to be easy. You're a little kind of critter with the idea, uh, and and then a couple years into it, you realize, man, this is really hard. My mom doesn't even buy my coffee, or those kind of things. Um, and Instagram likes and all that doesn't pay the bills as much as we love that stuff. Um, that whole thing was an interesting challenge. But I created a business that was successful, uh, sold that business, and it's still going to this day, and moved into this financial world mainly because I know that um, was it 96% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years, right? Um,
Mm,
quite a few of them, right? Why is that? And oftentimes it's because of cash flow reasons, because of not understanding how money works. They're running a hobby, not a business. They don't know how to scale. Those There's so many variables of that we're like, okay, we've actually done something successful, even though I didn't know that we were successful at it. When I went into finance, I'm like, I don't know much about this whole industry. I just started and sold a coffee shop with it, and then I realized, well, no, I just started and sold a coffee shop. Like that's huge for somebody who didn't start with you know a rich relative to help them start a business.
Hmm.
You know, not all of us are in those upper echelons where great Uncle Joe gave us money, and I'm not using that as a political thing. I just picked Uncle Joe. So don't say I'm patriotic. But uh, and I'm really for how do we help change an economic system and give people the resources and tools, right? That's me a little bit, really fast.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all right. So now let's get into it now. So when you talked about 5 years into the business,
Yeah,
but let's help somebody out real quick. You said 5 years into the business, and if they're not making revenue into 5 years into the business, it becomes a hobby. Explain that for me, please.
yeah. I think sometimes people think they run a business and they run a hobby, right? They're saying, "Oh, I got my business." I'm like, "Well, are you paying yourself?" Well, no, that's not that's not yet. I'm like, well, then how much are you? Oh, we're just reinvesting. We're just in the reinvestment stage of the business. I'm like, well, then that's a really expensive hobby, because that's kind of what you do as a hobbyist is you buy things that give you joy, right? Whether it's music or whatever it is. And so a lot of times people are running hobbies and not running a business. Now you can start a profitable business or build a profitable business and do it in way less time. But it means understanding how your numbers work, building a system, a financial system right from the get up, and being the CFO of your business and acting like a CFO, even though you may not have all the revenue that you want for a CFO kind of role. So chief financial officer is CFO.
Hmm. Okay. And will this be because, like, let's say if you have like a LLC or a S corp or something, or sole proprietor, will they be audit or something like that if you're not making profit for the next 5 years or something?
Well, I think, I mean, you still got to do taxes,
Yeah.
right? You still got to do all of that stuff. You just want to make sure as you're building a brand or a business or anything that you're reverse architect, like not just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna build this thing and eventually I'm gonna sell it and that's my retirement." And if you never paid yourself, who's gonna buy that business anyway? A lot of people think that, "Oh, I have this amazing thing that somebody's gonna buy and it's gonna be worth this," and oftentimes we're delusional on uh, how much that actual work and everything is. Same with buying a house or selling a house. We're like, yeah, it's worth this, but on real market value, it's very different. Now, paying yourself, if somebody was to buy my business, they're going to want to know, what do I need to do to make a profit without him in the equation, right? That was when we sold our business. How can they still maintain a profit and grow? And it was more about the systems in place, not so much the person.
Gotcha. So it's all about the business, not the person.
So, I mean, again, sometimes it's a both and. Like, there's Michael Gerber wrote a book. I forget what the name of it was, but like just building the processes around your business structures. Maybe it's a VA that you have, or other things that run a business that's making revenue. The main thing is to begin with the end in mind. To start. thinking about what's the end result that I want, and what are the baby steps, the little steps I need to do to get to that position. Whether it's like even growing a YouTube channel or subscribers, you know,
Mm.
all these guys didn't just start with millions of subscribers. They'd had a lot of sucky videos, a lot of little things along the way, and then it's the small steps that led to success. And so I have a method we call the still method, um, and with the still method, it is it's the opposite of still method is chaos. It's confusing, haphazard, anxious, overwhelming, and stressful. Right? That's our world. That's a lot of business owners is in chaos, confusing, haphazard, anxious, overwhelming, stressful. What we need is still setting your sights. What do we want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kind of a business do and this who, not how. Like if we like we were talking before here of having an assistant that helps. Maybe you hire that person if you have the revenue for it, the who, not the how. Then you track. You know, I know what she does. Uh, we track it regularly. I can see. Inspect your progress. Look
Mm-hmm.
for 1% adjustments. We can always get better. It's those kind of base hits, not just the home runs. So looking for the 1% adjustments I can make to get better,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to grow. When I can look even at our YouTube channel as we've grown our channel. Not huge, you know, but it's 1% adjustments over what it was before, and it continues to build momentum over time. And then the last L is live deliberately. So that's the still method.
Gotcha. So, okay, so let's go to the still method.
Mm-hmm.
So let's help somebody out. Is Are you talking about the still method of running your business, or a still method in finance? Like what is that?
All of it. I mean, you think about it. If you write those things down, sometimes it's how do I have a healthy marriage? Set your sights,
Hmm.
track. How do I have a good um, infrastructure in our business? Set your sights, track, inspect. Marketing, right? Financial systems. Money is not, in my opinion, wealth is not always money. Sometimes
Mm.
wealth is time. Sometimes wealth is relationships. But it does help you quite a bit. And so you want to make sure you're tracking and understanding how money works to be able to systematize and build, this life to the fullest, this financial freedom we're all looking for, all of that stuff.
So the still method is how to grow in general.
That's what I think. I mean, you can
Okay.
use it. I mean, literally, I don't know, are you a person of faith?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it came from the Bible, right? For
Okay.
us. uh, be still and know, right? It's kind of like reflection time, right? Or another guy, what's his name? Keith Cunningham wrote The Road Less Stupid, which is another really good book. And he says that, what we need to do is have thinking time, praying time, reflection time, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of what we've done, and it's just building the right metrics to reach the goals and results that we
Gotcha. Okay. And the still method.
want. Mm-hmm.
So is it STEAL or STEEL?
STILL.
Oh, STI. Okay.
Yeah, not steal. No, we're not stealing anything. It's the like still like be still.
Oh, gotcha. So STILL.
Yeah. Set your sights, track your in and out, inspect your progress, look for
Okay.
1% adjustments, and live deliberately. Uh, and all of those things as you again take those 1% adjustments, those little steps, all of a sudden you're like realize, oh my gosh, look at what we built. You look backwards and you're like, holy crap, this is huge. Um, that's awesome when you can look back and see
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's all right. So that's and another thing about the still method is when it comes to growing, it's like it can, be about anything.
that.
Like, okay,
Yeah, because
gotcha.
you're always. I mean, we're people. Things shift. We are also not just our business. We're not just this. There's we're multifaceted, and so I think there's so many areas of our life, and that's why very different in the financial services world because
Hmm.
you don't just put it into Wall Street and wait till you're 59 and a half to then say, oh, I can finally retire. I can do this, right? How do we use the tools we have at our disposal to uh, build a solid foundation, right? Both financially and all the other areas of our
Gotcha. Okay, so how can we, build ourselves? So let's say, like, we talk about finance or relationships or faith.
life. Mhm.
Um, that's what we can use the steal method.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an acronym, right? It's just a way of thinking, right?
Gotcha.
So the more we understand and think through that,
Hmm.
and figure that out for our business or our life goals, that we're just going to be in a better place. The problem in our world, in my opinion, is we don't like to think. We like to um, hit the easy button,
Yep. Agree.
and by hitting that easy button, we give up control, and and then we wonder why we don't have the life that we want. And I'm like, no, not that's not very smart. Um,
Absolutely.
and Wall Street or credit card companies will say, in order to be happy, all you need to do is here's a credit card. Go ahead and take that and go buy that thing, even though it's 23% interest. And we end up in a worse situation because we're left negative a little bit. Thought we were going to be happy with it, and then we forgot what we bought 2 months later, but we still have the debt, right? Um, and so it's just kind of thinking through, again, what is important to us.
Okay. Okay. So let's get into retirement income planning.
Yeah.
I want to first get into we have we work for our employers. We're W-2s. We get into the 401ks, Roth IRA, and or life insurance. Talk about the for the ones that work for employers that lives paycheck,
Yeah.
or that works with a paycheck. How can they invest into a retirement income planning?
Yeah. I think we want to think again using the S and the set your sights. You want to be at that job forever, right? What's your age? What's health rating, health, and all that stuff. So here's the thing. What happens when you go into a W-2 job? Um, I don't know. Do you have a W-2, right? So
Yeah, I have
yeah.
a W
So
two.
so they just put you into a 401k right away, right? They don't even ask nowadays. And why I don't know if you put money in there or not, but um, why do most people put money into a 401k? Do
Hmm.
you know why do they put money into a 401k?
They, I think they put money in the 401k is because they need it for when the money grows until they're like 60, I believe, or 65, I believe. So it's like a sort of the retirement's like an investment,
Yeah,
for your, yeah, for yourself, I think.
yeah. Well, and most people just put it in because that's what somebody else told them, right? And most people are not very smart with their money. So we used to have pensions, and then we moved to the 401k, transferred the risk from the employer to the employee, and the employees, they said, well, let's, instead of a savings thing of like a pension, let's put it in the market and let it go. And we called a 401k a in it's an investment. It's not a savings. It's an investment because you can afford to, you can lose it. For me, I think, you want to build a solid, stable foundation of savings. Savings is different than investing. The other thing is, again, reverse architect. If I'm putting
Hmm.
money into something that I cannot touch till I'm 60,
Hmm.
right, and I'm 20, that's a long time of money that I'm just putting into jail, right? That I can access, that use to grow whatever I want to do uh, when I'm 30, 40, 50, right? Um, and so I want to think strategically. Maybe you take the match, right? There's always, people say it's free money. Like, well, nothing in life is free. Just say, when people say it's free money, they're just giving it to us. I'm like, no, there's always a cost to everything. We just haven't calculated what that is, right? Because you might have free money, but you have to stay at the job till you're 60, right? And not be able to walk into your passion, purpose, your business, right? And so for me, I think it's about building a foundation, stability, safety, and sometimes it's putting it money at risk. That's what I do as a business owner. I risk a lot,
Hmm.
right? But I understand what I'm doing, risk wise, and I still, my biggest risk is me. My biggest investment is me. So investing in me, maybe even this, investing in a staff person may result in more money than just putting it into a ETF or something. So we want to reverse architect our life. For me, I found one of the best ways for me on my savings component is putting it into what we call an infinite banking or banking yourself type life insurance policy
Okay.
that I can have access to. And right there, I probably lost people because they're like, yeah, but I already know that. That's stupid. That's, you know, Wall Street told me this, right? That's what happens, right? And they're like, yeah, but I already know. I'm like, no. What was it? Mark Twain, the things you know that just ain't so. We're told to think certain ways to keep us on the wheel, the hamster wheel, right? For me, I found that this infinite banking strategy, it's a safety strategy, and I can put it into a policy. I run a business, so my biggest investment is me. I'm a cat, like literally, you're looking at a cash machine, right?
Hmm.
Like that's what we have to look at ourselves as, is we are a cash machine. Like we are, when we go to work, what do we go to work for? To make money, right?
Yep.
And we insure our cars, we insure everything else. Why wouldn't we insure us, right? That just makes sense to me. But then we'll say, well, no, but term insurance is cheaper, you know. So I'll go that way, and I'll self-insure, and I'll put everything in the market or whatever. It doesn't matter. Buy term invest with that idea. Again, what I like about life insurance is it's a contract, right? I can put it in there. It will be made whole because at some point, guess what's going to happen? At some point,
Mm,
I'm going to retire to heaven, right? And this is the other thing I like about whole life insurance is, we're always talking about real estate. Real estate is the big deal, right? Own a property and have renters, right? That's kind of what people are always talking about. So life insurance, doing this properly designed policy is like owning real estate and not renting, right? It's like building an asset that I can use versus being the renter and paying somebody else's mortgage, right? So, and then what I've done is as my policy has grown, I've been able to use the cash value to build my wealth, build my foundation bigger, right? So I've used it to buy my house, 20% down on my house. Uh, have the ability. Remember when we talked about staffing? Well, I took a policy loan to invest in staff to then to uh, grow more, to make more revenue, right? So I used the access to capital at a low interest to be able to leverage and use for other things. And I literally just closed on an investment of a condo um, in um, just recently, like about a couple of weeks ago. Bought a house or bought a condo, and my office business is now paying me rent, right? So
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay, so for the retirement, well, okay, so for retirement income planning,
I'm
uh,
thinking about now
now,
while
so you,
also planning for the future too. So I'm kind of using this to then plan for retirement. But here's the thing: I never plan to retire um, because I'm gonna I don't know I'm still gonna I'm gonna do real estate or something else. So retirement is a weird word for me, um, but I think it's like how do I have financial freedom now as early as possible to do what I want when I want and have money coming in.
gotcha. So you're gonna use that method you're gonna use that method
Hmm.
for a life insurance policy, which is
Yep.
that's infinite banking.
Yeah.
That's what your idea is. So do you think that for as a retirement plan, do you think and for all the ones that's listening, that's
Yep.
watching this, this is not financial advice or anything, or puts up like, oh, so Brandon told me to, since he's
Yep.
doing it, I'm going to do it. No, this is not like that. This is for, to have knowledge of what he's getting knowledge for, so that way you can have the information, and then you use your own uh, wisdom of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. So, so you use infinite banking, life insurance policy for your retirement plan, but you don't. But you said you don't do retirement, or you don't like the word retirement. If you use it
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your thinking long term.
Yeah.
And
Both. Yeah. Both short and long term.
gotcha. So we in our show we did have someone talk about infinite. Well, two people talk about infinite banking,
Yeah.
about IULs and whole life and term life. Talk to me about. Okay, talk to me about what is infinite banking. For and this goes to the retirement income planning.
Yeah.
One method.
So I do think there's a couple, like I said, copycats out there, and that they'll say infinite banking, but R. Nelson Nash, the founder of infinite banking, would not even do a IUL type policy as that piece. Like he says it in his book, page I think 33 of his book, where because what happens is we're then mixing the market and the other side of whole life, and there's a lot of variables that I just don't like, especially in our world today of chaos and confusion and who knows what the Fed's going to do. I like to have as much stability. This is infinite banking is my stable piece, right? So what I want to do is have the contract that I don't have to worry. I know what the lows are, I know what the highs are as far as my policy goes. Um, but my biggest thing of why I love infinite banking and a properly designed policy, meaning it finding the right person that knows what they're talking about, not just somebody who says, "Oh yeah, I'm in this. I just started, but I've been doing this for years, and I've used my policies to grow my wealth in other areas." So really, what infinite banking, in my opinion, is a way of it's kind of like a rich man's Romance. I'm putting money in more than 6,500 into my policy, and I know as I take it out in quote unquote retirement years, I can take it out in a way that is tax favored, right? And use it as income. But here's the thing, that's just one piece of my puzzle, because what I'm going to do is use the cash value that I have in the policy that I put through to turn around and use to create other things that I understand, right? You're in the music industry, right?
Hmm.
You might be able to create some retirement vehicle. It doesn't have to be in the market, but you create a label that you then, sell or something that creates residual income for your life. That's a retirement vehicle that you created that you know about that I have no idea about, right? This just builds something that I can have a good foundation about, and then you're able to use that for something that real estate, whatever. But the problem is people are like, oh, I'll just give that up. I'll let somebody else figure that. But as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, there's so many things that people are subject matter experts in that they could really dial in on and make a ton of money. And
Gotcha.
that's their retirement. But it's about having liquidity and access to be able to do that, right? And it's thinking through that whole system. It's not just one thing, but this is your foundation piece to then be able to do what you know. I mean, as I don't know if you know this, everybody's in real estate, and there's so many people who are like, I'm going to do real estate, I'm going to do this. The rules for real estate are different depending on the type of real estate you're doing. But yet we'll watch a YouTube video and say, well, this is how you do it. I'm like, buy and hold is a different rule than fix and flip, right? We have to think about those things and come at our retirement or future as to be able to think and understand that we're subject matter experts in those areas, right? And as you're building your brand and the music, that might be your retirement. That might be part of it, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So for the ones that have W-2s, um, instead of going to your employer for saying like 401k, because we do know if you leave the job, or if you quit the job or get fired, if you put in a 401k, because they tell you
Yep.
to, instead
Yep.
of thinking, doing some critical thinking, that can lead to your money going to zero, if I'm correct.
It
And
could. Possibly. I mean, we don't know. They always say it's going to go up and to the right. Always. That's what they say. But this is the thing I've learned, that uh, average rate of return doesn't mean anything to me. People say, "Well, I have this average rate of return." I'm like, you could have an average of 25% and have zero to show for it because of volatility, right? Um, your average mathematically shows 25%, but you have zero. Like, that is not okay with me. And that's been over I mean, think about it. Look at the market. It's at an all-time high, highest it's ever been, relatively speaking, even though we're in a uh, um, volatile time, right? But yet the baby boomer parents, right? A lot of them are not in a good spot,
gotcha.
and you have to ask yourself, what happened? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Um, what I'm just saying is, maybe you do some of that, but don't depend all on that.
Gotcha.
And does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, so another thing for retirement planning, when you talk about infinite banking, and then I want to talk about pros and cons of it, right? So we
Hmm.
got you have the 401k, which is I know about the pros and cons of the 401k personally, about like
Yeah.
it leads to the stock market and everything else, and if your money goes down, um, yeah, if the stock goes down, then your money goes down. What 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 can you say about, and you can talk about infinite banking too, for pros and cons too,
Yeah.
about like, or Roth IRA? What are the pros and cons?
Yeah, there's so many pros and cons in all of it, and it really depends on the individual, right? A lot of times we just go into something and we don't realize, like a pro for a Roth, in my opinion, is paying your taxes now, right? Uh, like, that's
Hold on. Wait. You said a Roth IRA is what?
pay your taxes now. You pay your taxes now, so then there's no the taxes. It's again the seed versus the harvest idea. So that way we're getting the tax liability out now when we know it, versus with a regular 401k, right? We put
Hmm.
it into it and we don't know what the taxes will be in the future. Now, I ask this of people all the time. Would you ever get into business with somebody where they make the terms of service in the future? Most people say no,
No. Yeah.
and that they change their bosses every 2 to 4 years, right?
Hmm.
And do you think taxes are going to go up or down in the future?
Does taxes go up or down? No, taxes stay the same.
You
Whether
think?
wherever the IRS, you know.
Yeah, it will probably. Again, I'm no tax person, but I look at the tax liability and our deficit, and I think the taxes possibly might go up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then we've been saving all this money or investing all this money into a 401k, hoping it's going to be this amount, and we don't realize that most of it, a quarter of it maybe, is the IRS. And so that's the down of a 401k, even though maybe we made a lot of money because Tesla stock did great. I don't know. Tesla stock could also go down, right? We don't know. Um, and so again, I'm about control. Now, what I think is good about the infinite banking type deal is it is not an investment. When people say, "Well, it's you're saying it's an investment," like no, it is your safe money. Build your safe
Protection.
money.
Okay.
Build your foundational wealth. So I have a lot of money in my policy, right? I have a couple months of liquid cash emergency fund, and most of it's in my life insurance policy. And then realizing you finance everything you buy, whether you pay cash or not. So the whole system of being the bank is really important to think through. So I'm thinking like a bank, using the policy. Like I said, I just used it to buy a commercial real estate condo, right? Um, and so using my policy that just keeps the money in my system as opposed to going to JP Morgan's system or whatever else. And then I can control and use it to create my own other, I don't know, business, real estate or profit in my business. So that I also think about profit first in that regard of getting dividends and all the. We all want dividends from the Tesla stock and all of this other stuff, but yet we don't even pay ourselves fairly in our business or give ourselves dividends like we would expect from any profitable business.
And okay. And I don't want to. I know I want to stay. I, I know I want to stay to the topic, but
It could go
it's
all over,
still.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Being
But
connected, that's the thing.
I, but there was one thing I need you to walk me. Please walk me back to just to let's help you. Let's help our audience out. You said Nelson Neal is the founder of Infinite Bank.
Nelson Nash. Nelson
Nelson
Nash.
Nash. Okay,
Yep.
Nelson Nash is the founder of Infinite Banking.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I caught on. Okay, and when Nelson Nash was the founder of Infinite Banking, uh, he used what was it, a whole life
Yeah.
insurance policy?
Properly designed whole life insurance that is built in a way that is um, built for maximum cash value. Um, and there's ways to do it. There's all kinds of videos out there of people who are like, yeah, well, you could do this or that. For me, I came into this financial world as an activist to make a difference, and so I
Gotcha.
know how these things work. But there's a lot of people, especially in the world of finance, who come into it and say, "Oh, well, it's all about making money. It's all about I can get really rich selling these products." And I'm like, "It's not about you getting rich. This is why there's a Wolf on Wall Street movie, right?
Yes,
There's no
yes,
Wolf of the insurance industry movie, um, And I'm like, and it's so and this whole uh, world in the financial world, there's so many opinions on it. What I like to think about is this is just one piece. You build a good solid foundation and you have your safety and stability and access to capital. And kind of like a HELOC, I can access my cash value way before I'm 59 to go buy stuff. And my cost of accessing that capital is way lower.
okay, okay, gotcha. Okay, and you got whole life, then you have IULs, which is I know whole life was created first, and then IULs, and
Yep.
and then I think it was something else. I forgot what it was. I know it was something else for
VULs, there's all kinds of it's
yeah.
variations out there. And I have some YouTube videos that we did last Halloween about some of those. And the problem is, and this is me, I can't speak for other people out there, but I can speak for myself, right? I've had to help clients who thought they had something and they're now in their 70s and 80s, and they thought they had something and they don't, right? And I've had to backtrack certain things. And I'm like, man, this sucks. And again, look, this is why I love the power of a contract. You can look as long as you do your part. I like to look at the guarantees on any given policy to be able to say, what's the worst case scenario? And is this going to get me to debt? Right? Because that's what a life insurance policy is to do, is to get you
Gotcha.
to debt. So is this going to be a good foundational tool, regardless of if the sky is falling and all kinds of stuff? Because I mean, again, I'm a business owner.
Hmm.
Things don't always go up and to the right. Much as we think and hope that it's going to be, that is not uh, that is not reality in any world. But we all want to think it's going to go up and to the right. But if the past couple years have taught us anything, uh, it should be something like that.
Gotcha.
Even though the market is somewhat, uh, it's so weird in Wall Street. I'm like, it's not correlated, but that's because uh, Federal Reserve has done some crazy stuff.
And going back to, okay, so when you talk about the infinite banking, the founder of infinite
Hmm.
banking, would I'm trying to figure out. So now, let's say if someone look him up, how he did the infinite banking concept.
Yeah.
For me, all right. So someone like me living in New York, it's and California,
Hmm.
it would be tough doing an infinite banking concept because of how the state is regulated.
Yeah. New York, New York
Yeah.
is a crazy state for that. California as well sometimes, but there are companies that I work with that are housed in New York. So I have clients in New York City uh, that I've been able to build policies for. So uh, it's interesting how, and I don't know, I have my own like conspiracy theories on this, but I'm like, where's Wall Street? Oh, maybe that's why there's so much challenge in New York. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think there's ways. You just have to find the right person. If somebody says, well, you can't do it there because they don't want to, but I have clients in New York City. So
Gotcha.
it can be done. Not all the companies work there because of all the headaches,
Yeah.
but yeah, I find it interesting. I literally there's so much going on behind the scenes that neither of us know when it comes to our money and our financial system. And I just want like for you and the listeners, educate yourself. Keep educating yourself, and you'll still keep learning. And don't just think you've figured it out because I'm still
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. This is yeah. Yo, thank you for the information that you're giving us. So uh, let's go back to retirement planning, the pros and cons. We talked about the 401k. We talked pros and cons of. Did we talk about traditional IRA? I'm sorry.
maybe I don't know. I'm not. It's not my focus on that stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, what I kind of think about when it comes to retirement
Hmm.
is okay. I don't want to call. I want to call it future cash flow planning, right?
Gotcha.
That's really what it is. How do I have future cash flow and have a life that I want to live Maybe I don't want to be on the golf course and all of this. And
Yeah.
is there something I can do that's going to give me uh, purpose and all of that? I don't plan to really retire. I'll probably coach and do other things that'll make money still.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know where it's going to lead. But it's really future cash flow planning is really what it is. And you can kind of reverse architect that with annuities, with a policy, with a business, um, with some in your um, 401k. But you want to build a foundation like a pyramid where you
Hmm.
build the base and all of
Yeah.
the let's see right here, all the safety, stability, and access, and then build go up from there, right? And that's the thing I think that most people miss because we're told to put it all in the market, and we're seeing all these upside down pyramids falling apart, right? Toppling, and you're like, oh, but you need to start thinking now, and it's all about percentage based. So start living. There's a book called Richest Man in Babylon. Like 10% of all you earn is for you to keep. So live with 90% and put the other away in a place that maybe you can still access or you know more longer term like a house or something. But you're building those muscles to plan for a bigger or a different future. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Now, what about the life and the disability and like the disability and the long term care
Yeah.
insurance? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so what I love about the life insurance piece is there's a long-term care riders that we have that are on there free of charge, right? And that's at least covering some of that. When people say, well, I'm going to be self-insured or I'm going to do all of this, um, the long-term care industry, it's just interesting as I think about cost of healthcare, right? We've been saying there's a inflation is happening, right? In the
Hmm.
past couple of years, and we've felt it. The healthcare cost over the past 10 years has like skyrocketed, and no one's talking about it, right? I'm like, there's a lot of money that is just going away to those places in general. And so, again, I have a in my policy. Um, I'm a caretaker, my mother-in-law, and in her policy, we have the cash value labeled in case mom gets sick tomorrow. Right? It's not a lot, but I have it there in case we need it for those kinds of things. Right? And I've allocated it. Right? I haven't touched it to buy a house. I haven't touched it for that because I know her age. Um, but I also know with the policy, if something happens, we can advance the death benefit early to us, take care of her. Now, again, you want to reverse architect that stuff. Disability, I don't have any personal disability on me, uh, but I'm not in a job that I'm working with my hands or on a light pole or those kind of things. Now, I might say with somebody else they might need that, right? Um, just depends on where you're at. That's why I like to do full financial analysis with people and figure out uh, what do they need,
Hmm.
and not just say, what you should do is this. This is why I don't like Dave Ramsey. He just says all kinds of crazy stuff, and some of it's right. Like he's good, but really having that conversation, there's so many other variables, and you want to make sure that it aligns with the client's goals. Uh, but ultimately, sometimes they don't even know, right? And we think, oh, I've heard people say, well, I don't need life insurance. Nothing's gonna happen to me, and then something does. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. And when you use the, like, let's say if someone wanted to use disability insurance,
hmm
is that pertaining? Is that, focusing on like your health?
yeah. And I don't do disability that much. I know, but it is going to be like a 30, 60, 90 days,
Yeah.
right? Or more, right? And sometimes for me, I have it in my cash value. That's my short term need. And so it's all about cash flow in the system, um, and having a good financial system in place, right? And so sometimes that's an important thing, sometimes not. You're gonna pay for any of it. And again, sometimes this is why I like whole life insurance versus the other.
Hmm.
It's like renting versus owning again.
Yeah.
I'm buying something that I hope I never use, and it's a renting.
Gotcha.
But then
Okay.
if I happen to have to use it for like flood insurance, great. But no one wants to have a flood, right?
So tell me about, because we know that I just want to get, I'm sorry, I just want to get the facts straight about,
Yeah.
so we know that the what is it, the Feds raised the interest rates to
Yeah.
this year. What was it again? I'm trying to get the
Oh, I
fact.
know. They keep changing things, and I
Yeah.
mean, the problem is, and this is just me, the market. We've had easy money over the past, 20 plus years, right? Um, and interest rates were lower,
Yeah.
but it can't maintain that, right? We become more investors versus uh, savers. We are really, I mean, literally, the system is broken, in my opinion. Um, and unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with it, not the baby boomers. And we've been selling like literally on Wall Street. This is just kind of crazy. People will do hedge funds for a
Yeah.
doorless microwave, and say, "Oh, we have this really cool doorless microwave. Just put in money into this." And there's just been like a lot of weird stuff out there that I'm like, really, all in the name of getting a profit. And I think that, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go into conspiracy, but I just feel like sometimes in this we need to have more control, more understanding of how it works. Don't just say, "Oh yeah, this is going to solve me. This is going to be it."
Yeah.
Realizing that we are all part of the solution and we're all part of the
Okay. Absolutely. About, about the, the economy, and you're giving, like, you're giving a lot of value
problem.
of that, really what needs to hear, that's essential, versus someone that, is like, trying to sell, you something, and you're like, what? That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything would like to talk about? And then I'm gonna ask you about profit first. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
No, I think really the main thing I like to talk about and help is just people learning to think, right? Understand it's about a percentage based thing. Don't just give your money into your employer or this and just think it's all going to work out. Build the system. Yep.
And how do you build this system?
Reverse uh, reverse architect. You start doing. I think it's that profit first system that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Is I am just I know my percentages, and I'm now like I know from a business perspective. Profit first tells me how much my is my OpEx for my business,
Gotcha.
equipment and all that, and I just put the money in the different accounts, right? And I live a lifestyle and I don't overspend. I don't buy things that I shouldn't be buying anyway. I, you know,
So, okay, well, one more time. What is? I'm sorry. One more
yeah,
time. Well, we're an hour in.
yeah,
What profit first?
yeah.
Walk me through that one more time.
Uh, so Profit First is a what Mike Michalowicz is a really good book. Mike Michalowicz wrote about ending entrepreneurial poverty, and really
Gotcha.
what it is a cash flow management system. So what the way I think about it is really in a optimal business is it's percentages. 50% goes to my owner's pay, 50%, 30% goes to uh, operation expense,
Wait,
OpEx.
I'm sorry. See, this is okay. Now you're hitting it. Now this is okay. So please slow down for the audience of what you're saying. So now this is value what you're saying here. So just one more
Yeah.
time for the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah. So money's coming in, money's flowing into your business, right?
Okay, so
Or into
money comes into
your
your
money
business,
comes in.
and how,
And
how does that? Uh
how I
huh.
disperse it instead of it being one giant plate like
Gotcha.
Thanksgiving and I just eat, I divide that up, right?
Mm,
And I have different plates, different
okay.
envelopes, and optimal what they call TAPS, target allocation percentage. 50% is owner's pay. So then I know when I bring in $100,
Mm-hmm.
right? 50 of that is going to go to me. $50 of
Gotcha. So
100 is
goes.
going to me,
Okay.
right? $30 is going to go to my operation expense, whatever it was to grow
Okay. To
the
your
business,
business.
whether my
Gotcha.
staff, whether
Okay.
my we talked about my assistant that does my marketing.
Yes.
It was mainly me for a while that did it until OpEx and I could afford to do
Mm,
that, right?
30%.
30
Okay.
to 30%. 15% goes to taxes. It's amazing how many people forget that when they run a business that there's taxes too. Um,
Gotcha. Mm,
and then 5% goes to the profit account. Now the profit account eventually goes back to me, but it's showing that it's a healthy business, or it might go 5% might go into building up the business, and that's TAPS. We don't always start at 50%. We might start at 10% owner's pay, right? But it's about in 70% OpEx. What you want to do is shrink OpEx, right? How much it costs to run a business, and increase you, how much you're making from the business to grow um, whatever you're doing, right? And then that's reverse architecting again to retirement, right? Because then if I have a healthy business that shows, hey, I made this much in revenue and this much is coming as payroll, then I can now have a healthy business that I sell if I wanted to,
wow.
which
So
which
yeah,
leads to a great
that's
retirement piece.
okay. So that whew, that was balls. Okay. So to go over. I'm sorry that talk to me like that. I'm ignorant. I don't know this stuff.
Yeah,
So one more time, if you don't mind, one more
yeah,
time. When when you have, and this can go to someone that's that has a paycheck too,
yeah,
and you're starting a business.
yeah.
Um, First, it goes to you first, but that's a
Or it goes into the general account and then you
gotcha.
disperse it, right?
So,
And so
so
if you're still
yeah,
having maybe you're a W-2,
yes,
right? But you want to run a profitable business, I
yes,
still think you need to have the exercise of paying yourself, right?
okay,
And so because what you want to do is shift from the W-2 job probably to the business, right? And you want to
okay,
make sure you make a shift that's going to be healthy, right?
mm,
And you don't like say, oh, well, now I moved here and now I have no money. I used to make 100,000 and now I make zero,
mm,
um, right? And so I put it in the account. Maybe I don't take all that money in my um, owner's pay, but
gotcha.
I have it there, and then I'll start. I know what my uh, income is because I have high salary. It's up and down
Yeah, yeah,
on salaries. You know that I know that my monthly income is stable, regardless if I make 100,000 in a month or I make 5,000, because I'm building that in as a business structure. And then as this money is growing, what you're doing is you're making percentage shifts. If you want to make that jump and you know what your income is that you need to make to live, right?
hmm,
Um, well, then maybe what you need to do is lower your OpEx,
mm,
move it to um, your business payroll, not your business payroll, but your owner's pay, and then when it's a good time to make the jump, right? Does that make sense?
yes,
Too many people are making the jump too soon or too late,
yeah,
and I think you balance the stability of a W-2
mm.
with the risk of a business, but pretend it's a W-2.
Pretend, gotcha. So pretend for your business that it's you or you check whenever you get a profit and divide that up
Yeah,
when you get a
and when you
profit.
get a check, right?
Yeah.
Treat yourself like you would in that other side. And the only difference is for me, I just happen to put one of those accounts just happens to be in a life insurance policy.
Mm,
And one of those really big accounts that I have happens to be a life insurance policy that's based in New York. So I will tell you, I know for sure New York works because I have policies that
gotcha.
are domiciled there. So, anyway, but when people
Okay.
say New York doesn't work, I've heard that. I'm like, I would disagree because I have a policy there. So
Okay. So you have a policy in New York, a
yeah,
life insurance policy.
yeah,
Okay. If you don't mind, we can talk more about that
yeah,
on, if you don't mind.
yeah,
And so for the profit first, this is what you're talking about is managing money,
yep,
budgeting,
yeah,
which is that's important for entrepreneurs
yeah,
or someone that is managing money.
yeah.
How much time do we have? Time? How much time we have left
I
here?
got I got a couple more minutes. I know we're going long on for your listeners. They might be like, I'm checked out unless you divide this up a lot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we our podcast is really 2 hours. Okay, so since we have a couple minutes left, what is okay? So last questions I'm gonna ask you is about New York life insurance policy, and then after that's the that talk about that, and
Yeah,
then talk about final thoughts, just in general about anything, and then social media handles, how can they
yeah,
reach you, everything. So yeah,
yeah. So
just
the
those
one
three
thing,
questions, and that's it. We're done.
yeah, the one thing I would think about is we've been thinking about this a lot in building wealth, especially for the self-employed business owners. And it's not just a life insurance policy. It's not just profit first. It's about building a mindset, right?
Hmm.
And a system. You don't just get rock hard abs, by watching TV and eating uh, you know Twinkies all day, right? You
Yeah.
get those by going to the gym and the consistent effort in that area. We should expect some of those kind of same kind of exercises or similar when it comes to our finances. So that's why we've created, if you go to wealthwisdomfp.com/community, we have a free community there. And you can be a part of our Mighty Networks community. That is, again, free um, for the, what do we call them? A Millionaire Mondays. We in that whole group, we have managed cash flow like a millionaire, I or billionaire, rather. I bet you Jeff Bezos um, does not budget, but I bet you he manages cash flow. So what I'm just thinking through is using budgeting, whether people hate budgeting or not. I don't care what you call it. It's managing cash flow. And then we have a uh, quest that's on um, how to implement profit first in your business. And then a banking yourself guide, which is what we do, specific focus, is how to then use your policies to build more wealth. And so we have different quests. Really, it's about spending a little time, because we're all in the money game, whether you're in music, right, or in other areas that we still want to make some revenue, and have you know growth in that area. So um, totally go to wealthwisdomfp.com and join the community. It's free. And I know, Diamond, you'll get a lot out of it just from learning and reading. Um, and then what else were we talking about? New York.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so one of my companies I use is it's in New York, Security Mutual, and I love that company. I put a lot of premium into that policy uh, with that company. Um, my biggest one so far, and when people say, "Oh, you can't do this," I'm like, "Well, no, you can. Um, you just have to find the right companies. Not all the life insurance companies work there because of paperwork, but there are one."
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Okay. I think that's. Oh, what's your social media handles? How can they reach you?
Yeah, if you look up Wealth Wisdom FP, Wealth Wisdom Financial, if you look it up on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. Totally subscribe. Watch a whole lot of videos because I'm trying to grow my watch hours. And I know I'm talking about money, so people check out whenever we talk about this stuff. But watch videos and educate yourself, right?
Yes.
There's so many different things. We've talked about how loans work, how the leverage, thinking. A lot of wealth comes from here and how you think. It isn't the systems or the tools. It's a lot of there's a lot of poverty mindset out there, and so we want to talk about those things of saying, how do we break the poverty mindset that's stopping us from really reaching the results we want? So go Wealth Wisdom FP Financial Partners. We have a podcast. We're going to be doing weekly 15 minutes starting in January. Um, and yeah, I'm excited.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the knowledge, the wisdom, and thank you for, dropping, you know, value to our audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Love it. Love it. And you too. Like keep leveling up, and it's one step in front of the other. Keep plugging along, and you're gonna look back in 5 years and be like, "Holy crap! How did this happen?"
Right? I believe that's gonna happen. I'm just like, wow, this actually happened to me. Like, wow,
Yeah,
my life has changed. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. Definitely. You
Cool.
know what? After that, we're gonna close out. What do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Man, I'm gonna have so for us, I will tell you, 5 years ago today, we are recording this December 23rd, 2022.
Yes.
5 years ago today, I know where I was because I actually owned a coffee shop, and my last day of owning that coffee shop was December 24th. It was January 1. I think that was 2018. Um, and I never would have thought I'd be in this position, right where I'm at now. We sold the business, had no idea we were going to head into this industry. I just knew that we needed to sell 5 years ago, and and we were having a baby who's 4.5. And the reason I remember this is because Facebook reminds you and says, "Hey, you remember this?" I was like, "Wow!" And so we told everybody, and then we launched our second business. Now that was 5 years ago. Now I have, and I even said then, never going to have staff again. This is going to be crazy and not going to have it. And now I have a office condo. I've moved to Cincinnati. I've used my policies, the things that um, that were not um, imaginable are right, and we are just building. And so in 5 years, I anticipate we're going to have a bigger agency. A lot of people, not just me, that are part of our community that are helping clients. Um, and I'll also be making plenty of money. But in 5 years, I'm hoping to have visited a couple countries. Um, One of my goals is to have my son visit 6 of the 7 continents before he's 18, and he's 4. So
Ooh,
we got I got 16 years to travel, or no, um, well, 12 years I think, travel the world. So 5 of those years I'm going to be using some of the visiting. I'm on a timeline. I got a lot to do.
let's go. Yes, it's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. Let's go. All right, so we're closing out. Thank you, Brandon, once again. This is the DC Incentives Podcast, and we are out. All right, y'all.
Awesome. See you, Diamond.
Yeah.